Hill this afternoon, the House is down to one more member today as now former Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick has resigned from office. Welcome to the second hour of American Agenda. I'm Bob Brooks.
And I'm Katrina Zesh. Cherfilus-McCormick announcing her resignation in a statement online after an ethics probe found her guilty of campaign finance violations. The House Ethics Committee was set to hold a public hearing on her possible expulsion from the House before she stepped down.
Cherfilus-McCormick's resignation stems from allegations that she stole $5 million worth of COVID relief money and then funneled it into her campaign.
In her resignation statement, Cherfilus-McCormick wrote in part, quote, "This was not a fair process. The Ethics Committee refused my new attorney's reasonable request for time to prepare my defense. By going forward with this process while a criminal indictment is pending, the committee prevented me from defending myself. I will not stand by and pretend that this has been anything other than a witch hunt. I simply cannot stand by and allow my due process rights to be trampled on and my good name to be tarnished."
Republicans are also working through a possible expulsion of their own. Congresswoman Nancy Mace has been out front pushing for accountability on Capitol Hill. Regardless of party, she has been one of the sharpest critics of the Republican Congressman Corey Mills.
Mace posted this on X, quote, "The evidence against Mills is overwhelming. Beating women and telling them to lie about it, cyber-stalking women, lying about his military service, and profiting off his seat. Any member who votes to keep him here is voting to protect a woman beater and a fraud. He needs to be expelled immediately."
Mace's calls for accountability come just a week after the House forced the resignations of Congressman Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez over charges of sexual misconduct. We're going to go now to Capitol Hill, where our congressional correspondent Kilmeny Duchardt, she joins us live alongside Congressman Greg Steube, Republican from Florida, who introduced a resolution to expel Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick. Kilm.
Katrina, Bob, good to be with you. Congressman Steube has really been leading the charge here, calling for Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick to resign from Congress amid, again, more than 25 ethics violations that have already been found. Congressman, you were prepared to make this resolution live on the House floor tomorrow following the House Ethics Committee issuing their final report. Were you surprised that she resigned before that could even happen?
Yeah, she should have resigned when she was indicted way back in December, which is when I filed the original resolution of expulsion. But I was respectful of the ethics process. I was respectful of the trial process. A lot of Democrats, because you need 2/3 to pass it, a lot of Democrats were saying she needs her time and her due process. So we had the trial. She was found guilty of 25 different counts of ethics violations. Today was the last hearing, and it's kind of interesting that literally minutes before the hearing convened, she issued her letter of resignation, which then the House Ethics Committee immediately loses jurisdiction of her because she's no longer a member of the House.
Do you think this was motivated by avoiding that public scrutiny? This was going to be a rare 2-hour public hearing of the House Ethics Committee, which would have aired a lot of that dirty laundry, and then presumably that vote would have passed. You would have had the Democratic support to expel her.
Yeah, once ethics would be done with their process, I expected they would have released a report first thing in the morning. I had planned on calling it up tomorrow morning. And yeah, you're right. It allows for her to avoid all of that. And I think the outcome is obviously good. We shouldn't have members of Congress stealing $5 million of FEMA funds, which is near and dear to Floridians' hearts, because my constituents rely upon that money after hurricanes. My district got hit by 6 hurricanes in 2 years, and it's just egregious that you have a member of Congress stealing the money that our constituents rely upon.
Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace on Monday introduced a resolution similar to yours, but taking aim at Republican Congressman Corey Mills. Obviously, we know the House Ethics Committee investigation is still playing out there, but what are your feelings right now toward potential violations with Corey Mills? Does there need to be a resignation there as well?
So every one of these cases, because you had Swalwell and you had Tony Gonzalez and Santos, who actually didn't have a trial and they moved to expel him. Every one of these cases has different factual scenarios and needs to go through the process. I was frustratingly respectful of that with Sheila, because I felt like if she was going to go through the trial, we needed to do that. With Mills, he hasn't been charged with any crimes. Ethics hasn't done their investigation. They certainly haven't gotten to the point of a trial. And I think as members of Congress, otherwise there's no point of having an ethics committee if we're not going to let that process play out and respect the way that the committee has to do their work.
All right, Congressman Greg Steube, we appreciate you being with us. Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick, no longer a member of Congress today. Katrina, Bob.
All right, Kilmeny Duchardt, great interview.